founder, president of Amity, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, Chancellor Atul Chauhan, Amita ji, office bearers of the Amity University UP, faculty, staff and students of the university, parents and grandparents and friends, Shri Arun Mohan, representatives of the press and electronic media and friends. Let me say at the outset what a great pleasure it is to visit this magnificent campus. In the last 20 years, I have seen Ashok Chauhan build a huge educational empire virtually from scratch. I think it is an astounding achievement. And when you consider that Amity now has 64,000 students across the country and is beginning now to reach out to foreign countries also, one realizes that educational entrepreneurship is an extremely rare but very important aspect of our development. Today we are on the threshold of a major breakthrough in education. The amount in the current plan is 5 times what it was in the earlier plan. And this will require a tremendous growth of education both in the public and the private sector. I feel that private universities have a major role to play in filling this tremendous gap that there now is in our educational system. And private universities can also have innovative programs which may not be so easy for official universities. I would therefore like very warmly to congratulate Bhai Ashok Chauhan, his entire family and his entire team, very talented academicians, for what they have achieved. Also let me thank you for conferring an honorary degree upon me. This has happened before in the BHU and the ANU and various other universities, but the only gown that I wear is the gown that I earned myself by doing my PhD in Delhi University. I refuse to wear any other gown because however beautiful those gowns are, they are the result of somebody else's idea. But this is the gown for which I worked hard myself. And therefore I have a special love for the Delhi University gown. तो आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे कि हमारा गाउन नहीं पहना, अपना गाउन ले आए, उसका कारण मैंने सोचा आप लोगों को बता दूं. Friends, the human personality is a multifaceted entity, has many dimensions, and therefore education also has to address these multiple dimensions of the human personality. For example, let us begin with the physical. Unless you build your physical body, you will not be able to achieve anything. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhana. The Shastra says that the body is the basis of all dharma, of all achievement. And therefore it is important that young people, when they are in educational institutions, should learn to eat right, to breathe right, to do what it needs to keep fit, whether it is yoga or tai chi or PT or sports or whatever, not to poison themselves by tobacco or alcohol or drugs or unsafe sex, because you have to look after your own health, remember that. Nobody else can do it for you. This is an aspect which is not very often covered. But I think that the physical well-being of the students is something which is extremely important. In fact, I have suggested some while ago there should be a national fitness campaign. As a nation, we are not geared towards national fitness. We have all sorts of campaigns, but I think what we really need is to have a national fitness campaign covering the entire spectrum of the population, the young as well as the elderly, so that we can upgrade the health status of our nation. Then the second capacity that you have to develop is the intellectual. Aro bhadra kritavo yantu vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from every side. We live in a world of expanding information. The tsunami of information that hits us through the World Wide Web and the Internet is overwhelming. From that information, we've got to abstract knowledge. And from knowledge, we've got to distill wisdom. That is the process that we have to follow. But we have to keep minds clear and receptive. Young people have to ask questions. We are a dialogic civilization. The Upanishads, the Gita, they are dialogues. They are not revealed texts. They are questions and answers. And that is what we must develop. Young people must listen to what the elders say, but they must also question them. Because it is only by questioning that the mind grows. And there are so many fields now of education, of science and of technology that are opening up before us that we need receptive minds. Minds that are able to continue to learn throughout one's life. Learning will not end when you leave Amity. Learning will go on till the very last day of your life. I try to learn something new every day. And I learned today that Noida is coming up very fast. I haven't been here for many years. I was astounded to see how quickly this whole area is coming up. One must continue to learn, one continue to read, continue to think, because the human mind is the most highly developed entity on this planet. And therefore it has to be kept sharp and receptive. So you have your physical body and you have your intellectual body. You also must develop emotional maturity. This is something not often spoken about, because hate and greed and fear are as lethal as TB or malaria or AIDS or swine flu. Our students do not get enough psychological counseling. They do not get enough emotional counseling. We are living in a world of great tension. The old structures are breaking. New formulations are emerging. And often it is very difficult for young people to come to terms with the new reality. I think therefore it is important that the educational system must have an input of counseling for students at various levels. I am very briefly mentioning these points because each one can be developed at great length. I have spoken of a strong body. I have spoken of a receptive and clear mind. I have spoken of our emotional stability, because you are going to go through stress periods in your life. Let's be very clear. We are living in a stressful world, and therefore you must have the capacity to deal with that stress in a positive manner. In fact, to take advantage of that stress to further strengthen your inner integration. Then the fourth dimension is what I might call the aesthetic sensibility. Do we teach our students to appreciate beauty? Beauty in the sunset, beauty in a starry night, beauty in a flower, beauty in a human being, in a human voice. The capacity to address and access beauty lies at the heart of our culture. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. Those are the three key words of our cultural tradition. And therefore we must learn. Everybody is not going to be an artist. Everybody is not going to be a musician. But you must learn to appreciate art. You must learn to appreciate music. I love music. I love the classical music. I love the Bharatanatyam. I'm also a rock addict, by the way. I listen to rock music at least 1 hour every day. So there is no contradiction between these two. I think music has got a certain beat. There is a universal beat about it. And that we must remain open to. And that can help us also develop the totality of our personality. Have you then developed the fifth aspect I'd like to talk about, which was mentioned earlier by Shri Rao also, is our social responsibility. Everybody talks about fundamental rights. And important, they are very important, they are justiciable. They are the pride of our constitution. They are unique perhaps in the developing world. But I would also submit that along with fundamental rights, there are also fundamental duties in our constitution. I don't want to embarrass you, but I'm not sure how many of you in the audience know that there is a separate section in the constitution on fundamental duties. I don't think they are ever taught. Ashokji, I feel part 4A of the constitution, I was on the drafting committee. There are 10 fundamental duties. And if these fundamental duties are followed, then one can fulfill one's social responsibility. Otherwise we find the destruction of public property, the burning of buses, the disruption of our lives. This is becoming intolerable now. We are still a developing nation. How many crores of buses are burnt every year, I cannot understand. Whenever there is an agitation, pehle buses ko jalate hain becharon ko. What have the buses done to you? You can wear a black badge if you like. You can take out a procession. But what is the point of destroying public property? This is built by the toil and sweat of the masses. Therefore, your fundamental duties have also got to be fulfilled. Remember, you cannot have rights without duties. Ek haath se taali nahi baja karti. If you want your fundamental rights, fulfill your fundamental duties. As Vivekananda said when he set up the Ramakrishna mission, Atmano mokshartham jagat hitaya. Work for the emancipation of your soul, but also for the welfare of the world. That is where we lag behind. That is why, despite our brilliant philosophies, despite our great achievements in science, in philosophy, in metallurgy, in medicine, in every sphere, we still have the largest backlog of poor people in the world. It is a shame and a disgrace that a country like India should 60 years after freedom still have crores of people living on or below the poverty line. We are attacking that poverty now. We have brought new programs. We've got the Rural Employment Generation Scheme, we've got the Urban Regeneration Scheme, we've got the Midday Meal, we've got the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. But there is still a very long way to go. And we will only be able to go on that way if every citizen feels it is his duty to participate in the developmental process. In the same way, as I said, that our educational system now requires private partnership, it requires private initiative. Similarly, our developmental processes also require private initiative. You cannot look to government alone to fulfill your requirements. If a social sense develops among our citizens, we are the most untidy citizens, I think, anywhere in the world. There is so much kachara in this country. Wherever you go, there are mounds and mounds of kachara lying around. Why is there no quest for excellence? Why can we not keep our own campus clean? Why cannot we keep our cities clean? Do you know, the other day I was driving in New Delhi and a posh car pulled up at a red light, opened the window and threw out a bottle of Bisleri. Can you imagine? In the West you would be fined $100 or $500 immediately. But here is somebody, I didn't know who it was, who owned a posh car and was very proud of driving it around, but did not realize that by throwing a bottle out on the road, you are performing an antisocial act. It's very important, particularly the elite, particularly people like you who are leaders in society. You have got to set the example. The Gita very clearly says, Yat yat tacharati shreshtas tattate vitaro janaha. So yat pramanam kurute lokastataru martate. In the way that the leaders of society behave, that is the way the people will follow. The example that the leaders will set is the example that will be followed. What sort of example are we setting now? Whether it is political leaders or whether it is any other type of leadership. We have to now realize that we are citizens of a great nation and we have a responsibility to this nation and to this society. We spend vast sums of money upon weddings. Crores of millions of rupees are spent upon weddings, and there are millions who are starving. Conspicuous consumption is something that does not fit into the structure of a developing society. Certainly you can consume if you have it, but there must be some sense at least of proportion. There must be some compassion. If you can feed the poor, Vivekananda said, if there's a hungry person, first of all feed him and then give him your philosophy. And therefore I submit that our social revolution is unfinished. Our economic revolution is unfinished. Our educational revolution is unfinished. And it is your generation that has got to complete these revolutions. There's too much cynicism and negativism around. We cannot afford the luxury of being negative. We must have faith in our culture and in the greatness of our country and in the role that India has to play in the new world that is emerging. And finally, you have to develop your spiritual center. That is the most important dimension of a human personality. We have many dimensions, but the one dimension that links us to the divine, that links us to the absolute, is the spiritual dimension. And that we should open. I'm not talking of any particular religion. Whatever religion you may follow, whatever goal you may follow, you must realize that life is not a meaningless journey from the womb to the tomb. It is an exciting opportunity for spiritual growth and development. It is an evolutionary opportunity. The world is standing at the crossroads. And if we evolve, if each individual evolves, it will help in the collective evolution of humanity. That is what we must do. Allama Iqbal in one of his marvelous verses says, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या. खुदी की बुलंदी, the raising of the level of consciousness, that is what yoga is all about. And that, my friends, is the final message that I want to leave with you this evening. You are privileged certainly to be living in such and working and studying in such an excellent institution. I would like to end with that great exhortation from the Kathopanishad. Awake and arise and stop not until you reach the goal. There will be difficulties. You will face problems. It is a difficult role a difficult path you have to follow. But friends, there are no soft options left, either for individuals or collectively. It is across that razor-edged and difficult road that we have to go towards our goal. And our goal is a new India, a new society, a new consciousness, a new world. And it is towards that I would exhort you today, while congratulating all of you upon your degrees and congratulating Amity upon its achievements and wishing it many more years of success. I will end with that Kathopanishad exhortation. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan Nibodhata, Shurasya Dhara Nishita Durattaya, Durgam Pathastat Kavayogadam.